On April 12, 2026, India held a state funeral with full honors for a 92-year-old woman whose voice had underscored 8 decades of cinema. This chart shows the scale of her career in raw numbers. To reach 11,000 individual tracks, an artist would have to record one new song every single day without a single day off for 30 years. But she didn't enter the recording booth out of ambition. When her father died, her family moved to Mumbai simply to survive. By age 10, she was singing in film studios strictly to put food on the table. Following a failed marriage at 16, she returned to her family as a single mother. Now with her own children to support, a steady income from the studios became a matter of immediate survival. At the time, the Bollywood playback industry operated on a rigid hierarchy. The lucrative, respectable, pure heroine singing roles were locked down tightly by a small circle of elite vocalists. The person sitting at the very top of that hierarchy, controlling the most coveted contracts, was her own elder sister, Lata Mangeshkar. Since the top tier was blocked off, producers handed Asha the leftover tracks. She was assigned to sing for cinematic vamps, cabaret dancers, and the chaotic scenes of low-budget B-movies. To survive an industry that actively denied her the spotlight, she had to figure out how to build a lasting, profitable career entirely in the margins. Instead of fighting a losing battle to mimic her sister and win the traditional romantic roles, she stopped competing. She leaned completely into the fringe genres she was assigned. Because the musical establishment didn't care about the vamp characters, there were no strict rules for how those songs had to sound. The lack of prestige gave her total creative freedom. She used those low-budget scenes to test new techniques. While the mainstream heroines maintain a soft, classical restraint, she developed a vocal delivery that was bold, highly rhythmic, and distinctly modern. Music directors operating outside the traditional establishment noticed this shift. O.P. Nair specifically sought her out, composing fast, unorthodox tracks designed precisely for the texture and energy she had cultivated. She then partnered with the composer R.D. Burman. Together, they engineered the defining sonic identity for a new archetype of rebellious youth characters, most notably becoming the voice of the iconic dancer, Helen. Her work with Burman and Nair created a specific vocal toolkit, full of rhythmic breathwork and Western inflections, exclusive to the cabaret scenes. This graph plots Bollywood's cinematic style. The slow 1950s pacing curves upward as 1970s audiences demanded faster storytelling. Mapping her experimental tracks here, her style perfectly intercepts the trend. She was making the music the market wanted. By the 1970s, the recording contracts for major films shifted. The same composers who once relegated Asha to the sidelines now built entire soundtracks around her specific vocal range. When that cinematic era eventually passed, she didn't retire. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, she expanded her repertoire, releasing entire albums of ghazals, entering the indie pop scene, and recording international fusion collaborations. By continuously shifting genres over 50 years, she proved that an artist's lifespan in playback singing doesn't end when trends change, so long as the artist adapts to them. The teenage mother who was once trapped at the bottom of the studio system entered the 21st century as an institution entirely separate from her sister's shadow. She expanded her footprint well outside the recording booth, establishing an international chain of restaurants, building a global brand, and integrating her children and grandchildren into the business. The same establishment that initially rejected her eventually recognized her with multiple Grammy nominations and the Padma Vibhushan, India's second highest civilian honor. Throughout this 80-year evolution, she summarized her approach simply: never limit yourself to one identity. Asha Bhosle demonstrated that true leverage doesn't always come from fighting for the spaces everyone else wants. Instead, it comes from taking the exact spaces they reject and building a massive empire right on top of them.